Excellent. Okay, so Anna, take it away, give us a bit of an introduction, and then you can go straight into the content.
Okay, bit of introduction. Talk to the camera. This is very new to me, okay, so I'm putting it out there. My core is presentations in front of 200 or 300 people, so talking here to a camera in front of 5 people is a little different. Okay, so thank you, Michael, for this invitation to speak, and for everyone who's here. And why am I talking about this? I have to put out there, I don't know what Michael called this. What was the actual title of this topic?
Time management,
Michael,
and getting shit done.
Yes. Now I'm going to just scrub the first words there, time management, because I hate the language saying time management, because I don't believe we can manage time, that we can manage ourselves. What I do like to call this topic is get shit done, because that's what I'm really passionate about, is being able to get shit done. So as Michael says, I have run a business or businesses since I was basically 17 years old. So that's only like 20 odd years, but you know, who's counting? And we have been able to achieve a lot, and I love to achieve a lot. I am pretty much a productivity coach or freak, one of the two. I like to be productive. But when I give presentations, the one thing I do want to put out there is I want you to be part of it. So what I want to start with is, can you tell me what challenges you are facing in the comments when it comes to getting shit done? So can anyone tell me, what are your biggest challenges when it comes to getting shit done? What are they? Can anyone tell me?
Feel free to add them in the chat or just shout it out.
I don't actually know how to do that.
Shout it out. Okay, cool.
Open the to put in the chat, Jeff. In the bottom, in the middle of the bottom of the screen, there's a little box. Pop
It's the first time I've ever used Zoom.
Aha, perfect. Okay. Yeah, the bottom middle, there's a chat button. Open that, and then it should open it up for you.
Cool. I'll shut up now.
Okay. Okay, Maria, I'm going to come straight at you. What is your biggest challenge when it comes to getting shit done? Can she hear me?
She's typing, I think. Can you?
Oh, okay.
Okay,
distractions. So like Michael says, interruptions. Jeff says distractions. Marie says forgetting. Oh. Okay, forgetting. Can you clarify that a little bit for me, Marie? You can talk to me. Open up your mic.
Yeah, I think most of the time I feel that if too many tasks is coming, and sometimes even I forgot how to organize them, and just memory leaking, I could say. Like CPU is too full.
Okay, so memory leak, I really like that, and it sounds like it's.
By the way, I've been doing software testing consultant for last 15 years. That's why I just use the word. That's the description.
Yeah, and when you dig down into it, yeah, there's so much we have to accomplish. There's just so much going on in our head that a lot of the time it is about how to keep it all organized, how to keep it all in front of us so we don't forget or we don't lose track of it. That's called multiple priorities, Michael's put. Lack of a clear roadmap or plan. Jeff, that's a big one for a lot of people. I've been coaching now for over 25 years, and a plan is key. And when it comes to it, if we don't have a plan, we don't have clarity, which then makes it harder to then accomplish things, which is great. Now, who says, okay, overwhelm? Yep, who of us here has had overwhelm? And that's what Marie's talking about. It's too full. We just have so much to do. And so when we look at what Michael says is time management, I don't believe this is time management. This is us actually learning how to manage ourselves. And the key I like to put in here is what I say, and I hope you can see it, self-management. It's learning how to manage ourselves, because time is the one thing we can't get back. So we can't manage it. It's going to go anyway. We it doesn't matter. 24 hours a day is going to go. So we have to learn how to manage ourselves to make the most of it. Now, if I put it out there and I have to ask Nick, how do I work this thing?
What do you want? New.
I want a new page. Because when you put all that together, I see the three biggest challenges is procrastination, mainly because, as Jeff says, we don't have a plan. I see, as Marie says, we have overwhelm. Now, I'm going to ask anyone here if they have this, because this is a big one for me, self-sabotage. Has anyone had that? Or does anyone know what it means?
I can guess what it means, stopping yourself from moving forward.
What does it mean? What does self-sabotage mean to you, Michael?
Stopping yourself from moving forward.
Stopping yourself from moving forward. Yep, what does sabotage mean? It means we, like you say, stopping yourself, it means we do it to ourselves. It means that we actually have the opportunity to do it. We have the tools to do it. We have the time to do it. And yet we ourselves stop ourselves from doing it. So when it comes to getting shit done, I believe that everything I'm going to talk about today, you already know. And that's a fact. We all have challenges. We all struggle at any time at some stage of getting shit done. And yet we already know what to do. If I asked you right now, what's the first thing you can do to get something done, you'd all know. And yet there's something that stops us. So I'm just going to ask you, do you have a pen or a paper or something to write on? All of you.
Yeah.
Then I'd like you to just draw a triangle, Nicholas, when I go for this. Okay, so I want you to draw, I want you to draw a triangle, because here's the key to getting shit done. These are the three keys I think you have. Now, I'm here. I'm going to put H. It didn't change colour, Nicholas.
You didn't change the colour.
Ow.
Just click it and click out.
What?
Technology is a
I
challenge to everyone.
hate
isn't it?
technology. So 3 H's. Here's my keys to getting shit done. If I said to you there's 3 H's in the triangle of getting shit done, what do you think it might be? Just take a stab in the dark. H.
Happiness.
No, Michael, wrong. Number 1 is head. What do you think number 2 is?
Heart.
Heart. And
Health. Oh, hand.
no. And that's a good one, Michael. And I have to put out there, I am not talking today about health, diet, exercise, sleeping, and all that. That's so important in getting shit done, and yet I'm not talking about that because it's part of a bigger topic. So here, these are the 3, what I say, are pillars of productivity. So getting shit done, I believe, is all about productivity. So head, what do you think head's about? Where do we start? It all starts in the mind. It's all about our thinking. And when we can get our mindset started, that's the place where a lot of our motivation, inspiration, and everything comes from. And yet often we don't put enough time into this area. Number 2 is heart. What do you think that includes? Can you see that?
No.
I'll do it here. Heart is all about what you feel. It's all about your emotions. Now, a lot of people will say that emotions, feelings, what has that got to do with time management and all this thing? Head and heart are the core of getting shit done. And yet when most people want to look at how to be more productive, they go straight to the hands, which is all about the doing and the actions. That's all people think about, is doing and actions. Now, actions and doing are super, super important. And yet, if we don't have the head and the heart together with the actions, we are never going to hit that top productivity. We are never going to get shit done with energy, with getting the success that we want, because we haven't taken care of our head and our heart. Now, would you agree with that? Yes or no? Put it out there. Michael, what do you think?
Yeah, if I don't feel like doing something, I don't do it.
If you don't feel like doing something, so that's your heart.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also around your mindset and your thinking. Who of us here has said, I can't do it, or I don't have time for it, or there's all these things that come up in our head, it's all these stories that come up in our head, and then that's where we self-sabotage, because we talk ourselves out of doing things because we maybe don't have the tools, or we don't have this. So head and heart are really the core of getting shit done, and yet people are focusing on doing and actions. And what I'm going to say here is that that's what we're going to focus on today. Head and heart are huge topics, and we're going to focus a little bit on them, but we're going to be looking more at the how do we take action, because you're going to want to leave here and you're going to say to me, Anna, what do I do? So where do we go so that I don't forget, so that I'm not distracted? Now, there's all actions that you want, and yet I'm putting it out there that your head and your heart are the first key to action. So if we want to look at this, I have, oh, sorry, Nicholas, I can't get out of this stupid thing. Yeah?
Just don't want to see it. And anyway.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so when it comes to actions, I love triangles, and you're going to see I love the power of 3. So you're going to see I love triangles. So when it comes to action, I think there's 3 key things involved. Number 1 is energy. Number 2 is, as Jeff says, is planning. And then number 3, I say, is focus. So I want you to just think back, and I'm watching the time here. I want you to think of a time when you had high energy. How does it feel when it comes to getting shit done when you have high energy? Give me some words around what that feels for you. What's it like?
It's exciting.
It's exciting. What else? You can write it or you can talk it. I don't mind.
Mine is really clear.
Yep, good. So your mind is clear. What else? For me, I'm way more creative. Yep. Michael says it becomes easier. It becomes easier to start. So, yep. So it's exciting, it's clear, it's creative. So
I feel motivated.
Yep, we feel motivated. But if we turn that around, and I know we'll all have felt this, how is it when we have low energy and we've got a lot to do and we have low energy, what does it feel like?
Hopeless.
Hopeless. Okay. So we feel hopeless. Cool. What else? For me, if I don't have energy, I feel really bored. Yep, demotivated. I feel really bored. Things get slower. They get harder. Everything just feels like, yes. And that's right there. We start to procrastinate. Michael spelling. So we start procrastinating. So it's key is how do we get energy? And this is the focus of energy. Energy to me is all about, and I'll get another color here, is all about alignment. Now, this here is where you come to your heart and your head. Because if you don't have 3 Ps, if you don't have your personality aligned with your purpose, aligned with your priorities, personality, purpose, and priorities, if you can't get those 3 aligned, who you are, what works for you, where you're heading, what you want, and what is of value to you, if you can't get alignment around those 3, you stop and think about your energy levels. And that's where your head comes in, because it's all about getting those things clear and being aligned there so that your heart and your head are clear. And this is where it takes a lot of maybe self-analysis, but it's really the key to getting to know who you are. And I believe this is really important when it comes to getting shit done. And why is because this is for me. If anyone knows me, they know I'm a real night owl. I love nights. But when I was trying to set up, probably after about 10 years of being in business, I wanted to be better at what I did. And so I followed what all the gurus said. Get up at 5 o'clock, go to the gym, do all this, do all that. And I tried that for about a good 2 or 3 years, and I had kids and I had a lot going on. And I started feeling like what this says here, that I was getting bored, I was procrastinating. I just hated it because I hate mornings. And I really mean that with a passion. I hate mornings. I'm not productive in the morning. And yet now here I am 50 years later, or 40 years later, 30 years later. Here I am here. And you know what? I'm way more productive when I go with what I have learned about my personality, what I have learned about how I work. I work better at night. I work better doing things my way and making that fit. Now, that doesn't mean to say I don't have meetings in the morning or I don't do things in the morning, but I make sure that I refill my cup and look after me and how I do things when I have to go against it. I can have 10 meetings in the morning and 10 mornings, but I know that in that day 12, 11 and 12, that I then put the energy back into aligning who I am and being who I am. So for me, when it comes to energy, it's all about alignment. It's aligning who we are with our purpose, where we want to go, and then really getting clear on what our priorities or our values are, what is important to us. And that then gives us energy, because I know when those are in alignment, I feel absolutely awesome, and I can work 24/7 like that. Maybe not forever, but I can really give it a go because my energy levels are high. But then with energy, number 2 is all around planning. Now, planning, I'm going to say, is more about awareness. And what do I mean by this? It's all about awareness, and it's all those things. It's the why, how, where, when, what. It's actually getting to the nitty-gritty of what is our purpose and where do we want to be. And that's the real key here, is really understanding. How do I get orange again? Because without a plan, if I came back here and said, without a plan, how do you feel? Because I think someone said about planning. I think Jeff talked about planning or having a roadmap. When you don't have a plan, how do you feel?
I think you feel confused about where to start. You don't know where you're going, so a beginning is a good place to be.
Yeah, and because we are confused, that start becomes so hard, doesn't it, Jeff? It's like, it's that whole thing about that first step. That first step just becomes really, really hard. Sorry, technical. I can't carry on when you're sitting there. Yeah, okay, so what else is it? When we don't have a plan, how else do we feel?
That's, yeah, mainly confused.
We might not know when we're done.
Okay, yep, we don't, so it's that start and the end, we just don't have clarity with it. Yeah, so without a plan, we have lack of clarity. It says close, cannot layer.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, I'm just going to talk.
Always breaking.
Yeah, so we lack clarity here. Yeah. And so all those things, and yet with a plan, turn it around. What do you feel with a plan?
A man with a plan is a man that can.
A man with a plan is a man who can. Or what's another one?
A woman with a plan is a woman who can.
Fail to plan, when you plan to fail, or when you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Yeah? And
with a plan, one can win everything.
Yes, yeah, and there's so much of this around. That's, as I said before, we know this, and yet when it actually comes to planning, how many of us actually do it? And often it's we don't know how, or we haven't tapped into who we are and what we want to do, and we haven't learned how to for us. Now, one of the keys here, and I'm just gonna, how do I get out of this?
Want a new one?
Yeah.
Do you want a new one?
I want to come back to that one. But yeah. So when it comes to planning, do the 3 S's, S, S, S. As you can see, I love 3s, so that's just about me. And so when it comes to planning, I look at 3 key things. I look at, and you might have heard of this, Scrum, stickies, and I've forgotten my third one.
Sweeties.
Sprints. Yeah, I know these 3. Yeah. So when it comes to planning, these are my key things. Now, when it comes to planning, I go big first. Now, what does that mean? I look at my big picture, and then I brain dump. Now, does everyone here know what brain dump means?
Yep.
Basically means what it says. Jeff, what do you think it is?
I assume it's very similar to mind maps or mind mapping, or just getting it all out on paper, maybe interconnecting some of the ideas.
Yeah, and probably not as neat and tidy as mind mapping. It's that whole, sometimes when I say it's like vomiting, just let it all out. Because often what holds us back is that we have all this stuff in our head, and when we talk about what we were talking about before, forgetting and being overloaded and having multiple priorities, it's because we've kept it all inside. And so what I say when I start with clients, I start and we just brain dump. And my best tool for that is, and it's not working again, isn't it? Oh, hang on. My best tool for that is sticky notes. Now, if anyone's been in my house, every wall has sticky notes. Or I brain dump in the shower and I use a pen on my shower wall, because in the shower I come up with lots and lots of ideas and I want to capture them. So I write them all on my shower walls or on my mirrors or on sticky notes in my office. Now, why? Because then I can take that from Scrum. Now, have everyone here heard of Scrum? What's Scrum about, Michael?
Scrum, well, it used to be something used by developers and teams of developers in moving an idea or let's say an idea and turning it into actions to then build something better and continuously build something and develop like an app. But now it's been applied across the board.
But we Kiwis, it's actually part of a rugby game.
Oh, you're talking about that Scrum?
Yeah, wrong. Don't. So, yeah,
Oh,
and you're
sorry.
right. And I adapt Scrum because I like things really, really simple. And basically I have, and this is what Scrum is in simplicity, is I have all my sticky notes here. This is what I want to do. This is all my ideas. This is what I want to do. This is what I want done. And then all of these in the middle are what I'm doing. And this is how I use my sticky notes. And this is how I brain dump at one end. And then I come back and I plan what are my priorities, and I use my sticky notes because I'm very, very visual. So for me, I have to have that whole feeling of taking something and putting it there, achieving it, and then putting it over there and actually seeing a whole lot of sticky notes on that done side, because it actually gives me this really great sense of achievement and what I've done. And so I use Scrum and sticky notes. But then down here, when I start to achieve things, is because my doing is breaking things down. You've got to break things down to the smallest degree. Now, I use an example here. I work a lot with people, and when it comes to doing, and I work in content, so when it comes to doing, they may say they want to send out a newsletter. Now, that's cool. But stop and think about what is in a newsletter. A newsletter is, there's content, maybe you need photos, you need to set up your templates, you need all of these things. So instead of when you come to the do part, you just pick one. Maybe it's photos, maybe it's content, and you write the content. You break things down to the smallest degree, because the key for me is then achieving them. Because often we say, right, I want to write a newsletter, but there's like 10 things I have to do to get that newsletter written. And then we get all caught up, because what have we said? We have interruptions, people come, emails, everything comes, and we get caught. And by the end of the day, we haven't done anything towards that newsletter. Whereas if we've actually just said, right, okay, we've got the photos, we've got the template, or we've done 3 things, then we've actually achieved something. And the next day we come back. And so there's another key to planning. And I'm going to ask you, when do you plan? Michael, when do you plan?
I'm continuously planning.
But when do you plan?
What time of the day, or as part of a project?
Tell me. When?
I normally, to be honest with you, most of my plans are with other people. So it's, you know, when you get time to sit down, and it's normally done, there's no time of the day. It's normally at the beginning, and then you review that as you move towards a project.
Okay, Marie, when do you plan? If I ask you, when do you plan? Say for your week.
Normally when I have ideas coming up, and for example, if I wanted to deliver a project, from the moment that I start having idea about the project, I start collecting this small tasks and what I can think, and I put it in some place, and it's like, okay, I'm going to organize them and put it in a plan. I plan very early.
So you start planning, and then how do you make sure that you see your project through to the end? Do you stop planning?
Normally I do kind of a module program. Like I put it in one module, I complete with that, and then after I finish this module, and then I start keep doing the next one.
Okay,
like,
cool.
Module by module.
How do you plan, Jake?
It depends on what the project is, but if it's a restaurant, I usually plan from the beginning, and then sort of adapt as we go along. Yeah.
So if you wanted something big done, most of us will start from the beginning. And the key that I've seen for people is the small planning. A lot of us are really good at starting big planning, and yet when it comes to the small things is when we fall foul of reaching our targets. Why? Because that's when it all gets stuck in our head. And so I learned that you start early, which is what you guys have said. You start in the beginning. So you start early in the day, early in the week, and early in the month. Now, for me, my key, and I've got to put it out there, just because it works for me doesn't mean it's going to work for everyone. But if I don't plan my week on a Sunday, I find I can still be productive, but it's not as high productive as it could be. If I don't plan my day the night before, I'm still productive, and yet it's not as high as it could be. And if I don't keep planning during my day and staying on task, it's not as high as it could be. And so often I find myself planning a lot. Now that makes me sound really boring, and I don't care, because it actually keeps me on target. And even during the day, I'm very solution focused or results focused, so that I keep asking myself every minute of the day, what's going to take me closer to achieving my goals? And that doesn't matter. Someone can come and ask me, do you want a coffee? And I'll say no, because that's going to not take me closer to achieving my goals. Or I say, let me finish this, and then I'm going to go and do something else. And so the key for me is I'm going to write 3 words. 1, no frog. These are my 3 key words when it comes to using scrum, stickers, and sprints. Do one thing and finish it. Number 2, I don't know if you've read the book, but I'm going to give you some references. Gary Keller wrote The One Thing, and I'm very much into doing one thing and finishing it, because we can overwhelm ourselves when we don't finish things, because things just keep coming at us. Learning to say no for me was a big thing. And then who here has ever heard about eat that frog first? Has anyone heard about that?
Yep.
What does it mean?
I think is it a Mark Twain saying, actually? But it's the worst thing that's going to happen to you all day, so get it done first.
Yeah, so Brian Tracy put it out there first.
Brian Tracy.
Eat that frog, that if you do the ugliest thing, the thing you hate the most first thing in the morning, everything after that is easier. And that has actually been one of the key things for me to get shit done and take action, because I will plan my night, my day the night before, and I will actually write down what is that one thing I really, 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 really don't want to do. And then in my head during the night, it formulates, and I know that I'm going to get up and I'm going to do that one thing. Or you know what? I procrastinate and I self-sabotage myself, and then I've got some other thinking to do. But these three things for me when it comes to planning: Scrum, stickers and sprints. These three things, and then the small things, do one thing at a time, finish it, learn to say no. And often it's learning to say no to me. I love coffee, and when people come and ask me to go for coffee, hey, I'm in. So it's kind of learning to say no to myself all the time, and then eat that frog first. That to me is the key for planning. And so when you go back to what we looked at, it's energy, number one, getting really clear in our head and in our heart. And then this is taking that heart, the feeling, because one thing that I do know sabotages this is when people get caught up in the drama of the day. And when we get caught up in our drama of relationships, everything else, this is the part that becomes hard, because we just let it go and we don't do one thing, we don't eat that frog first, and we just say yes to everything and wonder why we don't achieve things. Okay, cool. Any questions on that? As I said before, we pretty much know this, and so it's just getting really clear on it. Okay, Mr. Nick, next page. Okay, so the next one is focus. This is our last one. Now I'm going to put this in here. I think this one's about accountability. And the focus is maybe three sides. I believe it's all about focus. It's all about being a little bit flexible, and it's all about finishing. So when we can learn how to do this, when we can focus, and when it comes to this, has anyone heard of the line?
The what?
This is something I learned, and I'm giving you the tools. This is learning the line. This is where you learn to hold yourself accountable. So we've planned, we've broken it down. There's one thing we have to do. Now it's taking action. Now this is where, as I said before, action and creating habits is the key to getting things done, and yet often we don't do it. And so this is a tool I use with the line. This is OARBED. Now this is a lot of mindset, and yet it comes back to how we take action. So when we have something to do, we learn that it's a choice. Now when it comes to focus and taking action, it's our choice. We can either do it or we can not do it. But then we just cannot sit at the other end of the week and say, oh my goodness, you know, I haven't achieved this, I haven't done that. Well then actually own up to it and say, I've made a choice, and hold yourself accountable for it. And that's where I say everything I do is based on, am I below the line or above the line? Now, I'm going to go here first, below the line. Below the line means you aren't holding yourselves accountable. So what do you do if something happens to you and you go below the line? And I'm going to see if you can come up with some words. You will blame. What do you think E would be?
Excuses.
Excuses.
I do speak English.
You make excuses, and you tell yourself, you know what, oh no, I didn't really want to do that. Or we come up with all sorts of stories and we deny that we were going to do it anyway. And we just come up with blaming the weather, the wife, whatever. We come up with making excuses, and we start denying things. Yeah, that we'll come up with all these stories. So turn that around, and OAR, what do you think the opposite is that might take us somewhere else?
Accountability.
I want the O first.
I couldn't think of the O.
Ownership.
Oh, you're on it.
So it's taking ownership. We have just made sure that we have the energy, we've got the plan, then take ownership for taking action. It's only up to us. No one else is going to take action. So if we take ownership, and then, what was it, A?
Accountability.
Wow, well done. accountability here, we hold ourselves accountable, excuse me, I'm not used to this, I need a big blackboard, whiteboard. And then here, and I'm going to write this over here so you can see it, response able. Now, it's not being responsible, it's actually saying, it's not what happens to us, it's not that we don't have time, it's not that we don't know what to do, it's because we have the choice to respond how we choose to when it comes to taking action. So this is the key here for me, is all around, this is why I don't believe it's time management, it is me management. It is me taking ownership of what I want to achieve, holding myself accountable for achieving it, and learning that it doesn't matter what happens in my day, I'm able to respond to it. Now, here's a key for me. Some days, and I don't know if any of you can relate to it, some days I don't give a shit. Some days I just say, you know what? I don't care. I'm going to go below the line. And I will, you know what? It's Nick's fault. It's the technology. It's all this shit. And you know what? But what is key for me is I am aware that I'm down there. And I don't stay there. Because if we stay here, our energy level is going to drop. We're not going to plan anything, and our action is going to be zero. So it's having this model to follow is that you then go up and think, you know what, today I am going to be down here. I'm going to blame, make excuses and all that stuff. Don't care. Tomorrow I'm going to go up, or next week I'm going to go up. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It's making that choice, and then once you've made that choice, coming back and being focused on that one thing, being flexible that some days you aren't going to feel like doing it, but then take the one thing and finish it, because that's what's going to give you the achievement to then go back, create more energy, better plans, and come here and focus. And so if you go back to the beginning one, I think it's that one. No,
What, the beginning
one.
one?
The one above it.
Yeah. And so when it comes to taking action, the key is your alignment with your energy. It's awareness around your plan. And then up here with focus, I can't remember what the A word was, accountability,
Okay.
is actually holding yourself accountable. And also putting those three keys together, you can then repeat, rinse and repeat by putting them together. So those are my kind of key factors. When it comes to tools and what I use, I will use, as I said, sticky notes are key for me.
Mhm.
What else is key for me? Calendar is key for me. When it comes to planning, the scrum is definitely key for me.
And ticking things off.
And ticking things off. Yes, I need to
Small bites.
achieve small bites. I need to, that's for me, I need to achieve small things, so that small things, if you read the book One Thing, one of the analogies it gives is the domino effect that really stuck with me. And that one small domino, who here has seen those huge domino displays they have? And yet what starts that display is that one domino. You just go boom and suddenly everything just starts getting momentum and you start to achieve huge things. And when you really look at the whole dynamics behind that, it's actually really amazing. The power of that one domino when it's
Starting.
Yeah, when it's starting and it gets
The domino
momentum,
effect.
the domino effect is amazing. And so that's what I believe is the key to one thing: focus, finish, eat that frog, do it, and then get out and do it again. So that's me, Michael.
Thank you very much, Anna.
Have I kept to my time limit?
You kind of. You did a Dalmatian 30 minutes. No, brilliant. I think some really good topics you've mentioned there, and like you said, there's a lot of stuff that we know but we don't do, and it is about holding ourselves accountable. I think we're just going to hear from Nick now with a few more tools, because obviously Anna, so I've been to Anna's house, and yeah, she has Post-its everywhere. Everything she said tonight, she does for sure. And she'll also try and hold you accountable if you work with her. And she'll say, is that an excuse I hear? Is that an excuse I hear? And stuff like that, which keeps you accountable, which is great. Nick's going to tell us a bit now about some digital tools you can use as well that can help you with getting shit done.
Thank you. Go on.
Yay!
All right, this is not set for me. I'm not as short as Anna.
Not as beautiful either.
Not as beautiful either. So as far as what I was going to talk about here, I'm not going to go into, I was going to do a bit of screen share and stuff and show some tools, but I'm not sure if anyone's heard of these tools that I'm about to talk about. Basically, we have a lot going on in our business, whether it's with 45-degree sailing or hashtag content, a lot of clients, coaching. There is a lot of hats to wear here, and there is a lot of different moving parts. So to keep track of it all I don't see it as a human thing. To be able to keep track of all that on your own is not particularly easy. So we have a number of different tools in order to keep on track, to use productivity and to reminders as well is huge. And some of these things I thought were gimmicks in the beginning, and I think, oh, that's just kind of a waste of time, and then they've actually become really useful. So for me, one of our biggest ones is like it's a schedule management tool and a project management tool. Now, we used to have a bunch of these. You had to have 5 different tools to do one job, and then new products like Monday.com and the one we talked about, Airtable, came out, and they're brilliant. And we signed on to Monday.com, which was a week planning tool, or not a week planning, a whole project management tool to help manage your team. All right. So the big thing about management tools within your teams or yourself or anything is that, I don't know, who here everyone's got WhatsApp, right? Has everyone got WhatsApp?
Yep.
Yep. Okay. Who's got group chats?
Yep.
How many, okay, can you tell me off the top of your head how many group chats you're in?
Too many.
9.
Is it literally that uncountable?
Not for me.
Because it certainly is for me. I would say it's in the 50s.
50s.
Of the amount of different group chats I've been in, between Messenger, Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, text message, all of the stuff, email threads. You're in so many group chats, and I found that really, really hard to deal with. So we came across this tool called Monday.com, which allowed us to have conversations within the teams and within the subjects. So if you're working with other people, or even if you're freelancing on your own and you're working with other clients, I found this really, really important. And what we actually did is, instead of using Monday.com, I got onto a new one called Airtable. All right. Airtable.com for the website if you want to check it out. Now, what you've got here is you've got workspaces, and you've got teams, you can do tasks. Basically, this is like Excel spreadsheets on steroids. Because you can do just about everything. I haven't developed the full potential of this that you can do in Excel, except then you add this productivity, task focus, teams focus to everything. So with Airtable, instead of having to have a WhatsApp conversation about everyone's like, hey, who's done that? We're working on website A. Has anyone finished the staging for that? And talking about all this, and then going back and going, oh my gosh, did you finish that job? I'm not sure. I can't remember where they said it. So then within each task, you can have a separate conversation. And it is right around that task itself. As opposed to having one big conversation that you've got to go back through, you have this conversation which is only about this stuff. And it is only for the people that are involved in that task. So you can assign that task to someone or a group of people. So for instance, with something like a task for come with Michael, and I haven't brought them into Airtable yet, but at the moment I've got a group chat with those 4 or 5 people and the task will come for producing videos. And then I've got singular chats with someone else who doesn't want to do it in the group chat, and there's all this thing going on all over the place. Now, if I have 10 of those, it gets very confusing and I'm likely to forget something and then not deliver on a deadline. So within something like Airtable, I can separate all those out and then get notified as soon as something comes up for that specific task. Now, I find that really helpful to stay on top of things and stay organized within a task or a project itself. And that thing itself, Airtable, is huge. You can get this for free. I would have loved to say, hey, sign up on my affiliate link, but they don't do a good affiliate program, so you can sign up for free anyway and check it out. You can then pay for more and more functionality in that. I'm still not paying anything for Airtable yet. We don't need any more functionality than it's giving us for free. So that's really helpful. So I definitely say check that out. And if you want to know more about it, then talk to me and I can go through a few things with you on that. Yeah, so Airtable's big. Other things is, I talked about gimmicks before. Now, I love technology. I love the toys. As you can see, we're playing with we've got the iPad and the pencil here so we can do this presentation type stuff. I enjoy these things. They are part of my my triangle of getting my head right, getting my heart into something. If I get to do something with my nice camera and this technology and I get to express it in a certain way, then I'm more excited about it. I do it better and I look forward to it, and it's less of a chore.
Can I jump in here?
Yes.
And this is, and I don't know where's it. This is what I'm going to say here is when I said in the beginning, we're all unique. So Nick loves this. I hate Airtable. Yeah, and I love an Excel spreadsheet. Don't get me wrong. I love Excel spreadsheet. I hate Airtable, and yet I'm learning it, and it feels good. But I still come back to my piece of paper. I still come back to my Excel spreadsheet. Now that's not productive, but it's saying that you use the tools, have a look at the tools, and then adapt them for you. Don't just jump on something that, like Nick's talked about gimmicks. There's so much technology out there. Sometimes it's the simple things for us that aren't too technology, and then Nick has the technology. So when you're working in a team, I think my key is never try and make everyone do something the same. Learn how to do it differently to be able to keep the productivity high. Yeah,
with what works for you. So we can drag people into Airtable and say, hey, I want you to do this, but if they're not doing it, then something's not working right. So then you try to go on other tangents, or you might have to go back to old ways. But if you can get in what's excited for you, that's a lot better. Now, as far as tools go, and I talked about gimmicks, sometimes people say, oh, you don't need that like Airtable, or you don't need that like an Apple Watch. Now, for me, this was something I thought, oh, the Apple Watch is it's not something I need. It's a gimmick, and I never bought one. And I finally got given one, lucky, very lucky. And actually, I found it one of the most productive things for me because I put my phone down so much more. I get my notifications when I need them, and it keeps me on track for messages and calls that I actually need to get. And that's a gimmick for me that motivates me in my day. So I would say find the gimmicks for you. What tools do you like to use throughout your day? Are you an audio visual like me and you're using cameras and iPads and stuff? Or is it like Anna and it's the sticky notes and a piece of paper and the detail? But like us bringing this iPad in here, this is what Anna has been looking at. She likes this, all right? So I'm working on bringing in the iPad for her presentation so she can scribble all over the place when she does these online things, and it helps her with her presentations.
But I also think like what works well for us is calendars.
And yeah, and so that's the other thing we wanted to go into.
Which is an Airtable.
Yeah, calendars. So with calendars, we have a big wall planner that is not on that wall, it's on the other wall. We get one of those printed all the time, so we've always got this visual. And the other one is online calendars, which everyone knows. It's the same as what Anna talked about. You know all this stuff, but actually getting those calendars out as part of your planning, making sure you put your scheduled day in there with the reminders, and then disciplining yourself to actually stick to it. That is the big challenge. And once you get on that, that helps with the heart, the head, and the then you can use your hands to do your jobs. So that's that's the main tools I want to talk about here. Is check out Airtable for task management and team conversations, people conversations, and then find these tools that work for you, like whether it's the iPad, the Apple Watch, the calendar, to get your head in the game so that you get to really do those tasks.
Can I add two?
No.
One.
Okay.
So I'm also going to say, Marie talked about before how we lose ideas. Now, previously, I've got books for Africa. I write notes. I do lots of things, but I found this other tool called Workflowy.
Oh, yeah.
And I love Workflowy. It just lets me, it's kind of like having a book that's indexed, and whenever I have ideas, I can just chuck them in this Workflowy and it stays there. And it just is always there. So I can just put anything I want in there and come back to it. It's highlighted, and it's just one of the keys that I really think is a good tool to use. And we've started using more notes.
Yeah.
That's a key thing.
Yeah. Shared notes. And if you're someone that has got into the shared calendars, this is Airtable, all of this stuff that's up in the cloud, and you embraced it, cool. If you haven't yet, put a little bit more effort into that. It's the future. Shared notes, shared tools, because they actually help to declutter everything and safeguard it, because everything needs to be backed up and all of this sort of crap. Because once you then put all of your effort into putting things online and you haven't got all of the bits of paper everywhere, then it's also losable. And that's a huge source of frustration for so many people, us included, having lost stuff. So Airtable, Workflowy, calendar, and backup. And I think that's us.
Sorry, what was the last thing? Sorry.
Backups. So if you're investing into putting things online, making sure that it's uploaded correctly and that you learn about that cloud. Because the great thing is, anything right now that's on this iPad, I could wipe the whole thing right now and it would all still exist because it's got that backup. And I'm a bad culprit for this, my hard drive I've got sitting right here has got all of my content on it, and I'm currently in the process of backing it all up to the cloud. But if I lose that now, I may as well just leave because there's so much on there. And if that dies on me, then I've put too much faith in it. So that's why I'm backing it all up. So backups and understanding where your information and your assets are kept is really important.
Perfect, thank you. Any questions at all, guys?
Do either of you guys have any, so a lot of this stuff is great for personally, and I guess maybe what I'm a little bit more concerned with is how to empower teams or have my managers get more things done throughout their day. Okay. And I was wondering if you have any tips or anything to hand over to my managers or to give to teams so that I'm having to remember less and having to do less, and they could take some of this stuff.
Yeah, big thing on that is processes, and then how you implement those processes so that everyone's accountable for them. In our team industries, it's something like Airtable, because then everyone's across it. It's got a mobile app and the reminders are there, the conversation's there, so everyone's responsible for that information. It's going to be main processes.
So it's coming in and looking at the restaurant and the team.
Yeah, to see where the inefficiency is, you got to observe where the loss is happening, and then find a way that works within the industry, within the particular location, or across the teams to get them all on board.
And when I've taught teams, Jeff, I'm going to say it comes back to that heart and head. Often you focus on the task and the tools, but I've worked with a lot of teams and I implement the line. Have you heard of FISH?
No, I don't think so.
So there's a team training called FISH. It's the line, it's FISH, and there's another one, I've forgotten what it is. But there's about 3 tools that I use with teams to get them on board, and I do personality profiles. Because my key is learning how, the biggest thing with teams is often communication. And if you're not learning how to communicate with each other properly, doesn't matter how good your processes are, how many tables you use, it's just not going to connect with people. So those are the 3 tools I use when it comes to teams to then put these things into action. I don't know if they'll help, but have a look at those 3 things. Very, very different philosophies, but yeah, ways to play with things.
Cool.
That's, yeah, fish.
We'll share all these. We'll share all
couple of
these. We can't see the iPad at the
Yeah,
moment.
yeah, so I'll write
if
them
you're
all
writing.
down, but I've got lots of
Okay.
training on that.
Cool.
Thanks.
Miri, anything from you?
Cool.
So you unmuted before.
Thank you, Anna and Anderson. Great. That was sorry, that was a really good presentation, and I think I got information that I really need at the moment. And the tools that I've been using is Jira and Trello, and this is for this project management. You get the things done and like this. And I would like to know that is there any tools that you were using when you're doing this presentation, the one that you are using? Because when I start doing like drawing and yes, this is it from this Zoom, or I don't think it's from Zoom, right?
Okay, so this works like this. Basically, you've got your camera. Now that can just be the webcam off your computer, or it can be a nicer camera like this one. Then you might have a microphone when you really get into this to do really nice presentations. And then like we're doing now, we have the iPad, which we call a lightboard or a whiteboard. Okay. Now all of this comes into what we call a streaming software. This one is called Streamlabs. Sorry, that's bad. Streamlabs, OBS Streamlabs. Now that all funnels into here, like so, and then this goes out to what we call a virtual webcam. Okay, and then that goes to Zoom. So effectively, what you would look at here for us doing this, if I very quickly show you this, display capture and source, done. Okay, so that's going to just vanish and diminish. But what you're looking at is this is our feed here on Streamlabs. And so I've got my inputs here, and I can change between our 2 different scenes, between the lightboard or whatever. And then all of that feeds in and sends it out as a virtual webcam for Zoom. So that if you were in, you could be Zoom, or you could be Facebook Live, or any platform. It's now picking it up just like it was a webcam. So
then it also saves it, so we can use it as training.
Yeah, and so I've also recorded, and you can't see that here, but also recorded this in here in Streamlabs, so that it's a high quality recording, not just the Zoom recording, so that I could use that as a training video. So I might take out pieces of Anna's presentation today, if she'd learned to use the whiteboard a bit better and wasn't just drawing words over top of words. But it's all practice. We'll take that, and then it's a high quality recording that we can then push out to something else. Now, something like this, yeah, a virtual webcam which can go out. So you could be doing this for Facebook Live, for Zoom, for IMO Live. If you're doing creatives and things, check out IMO Live. You have to. If you come to this presentation, you've got to go to imolive.com. But
you can,
yeah, that's how it works.
And I'm going to come back again, not so techie as Nick. I love it because I'm used to whiteboards, and so Nick is teaching me how to use this. But in Zoom, the whole PowerPoint type really works well too, if you're not used to doing this. So
yes, I've been using Zoom. Yes, but I've been looking for that. I should use something like this. Yes, great. Thank you.
This is what I'm working in here in the iPad. It's called Sketchbook. And I don't think it's the best one because this has got a whole lot of controls. It's made for artists sketching, and it's too much. I want it simpler, so I'll keep working on that. But effectively, that's how a presentation like this would work. And you could have multiple cameras. If you're doing podcasts, you can just feed everything into this. It takes a little bit of playing with to get used to, but once you've got it, it's, yeah. And I didn't pay for anything on the hardware. None of these, all of these programs are free. Yeah.
And so this is what we help our clients do. So if you want help with this, Marie, talk to Nick. And then anything else, if you want, like any of the head stuff or heart stuff or hand stuff, then that's my department.
I also said to Anna that I'm pimping her out for free in 15-minute blocks. So anyone who's watching this now or watches the replay or whatever like that, you can have Anna for free. She'll do a free session on the sketch sheet done for 15 minutes for anyone to just, I know it's hard to take all of this concept and then go, right, I'm going to go and apply that. Sometimes it just needs 10 minutes of her pulling out the details and then shoving it down on paper with you, 15 minutes, and you can get started. So if anyone wants that, they can have that.
And then I'm going to pimp Nick out.
No, you're not.
Free for 15 minutes for anything to do with presentations and all that stuff. Yeah, there you go.
And
okay, this is not an illegal platform for pimping people. It may be called Task for Come, but there's no pimping going on here. Okay, cool.
All right.
Excellent. Any other questions, guys? Otherwise, we'll... Cool. Well, you know where we are. We're all in the group as well, so feel free to connect through there, send any questions out, because people normally have the same questions anyway. I'll say this, I will upload this to YouTube. It's worked a lot better than the EU funding one, because that one got cut out halfway through. So, cool, but thanks for joining us. Jeff, I hope to see you very soon. And Miri, I might be up in Zagreb at the end of Feb, so maybe grab a coffee or something as well. Excellent. Cool. Take it easy, guys.
Nice.
Yeah, we'll come to Castella. Come
Thanks
to
for
the
hosting
coast.
it, man. Yeah.
No worries.
Take
See you
care.
guys
Thank
soon.
you.
Bye.
Awesome.
Bye.